We are back down on the farm and we're putting in brassicas today. And I'm going to show you my approach to putting in brassicas on a budget. You're not doing it with a big drill. You're doing it with probably equipment that you actually have laying around. And it's very simple. So let's dive right into the video. So right off the bat, I wanted to go over a few things that, when I was starting out, I didn't realize about brassicas. And that is, the different types of brassicas that there are. There's a lot of guys that, talk about planting brassicas, and frankly, I haven't for a couple years now. I haven't seen the crazy drawing power from them, but I had sort of a food plot failure here earlier this year trying to get alfalfa to grow, and so I decided, you know what, I got this area, I'm going to just put it into brassicas so that there is some food here. Now with that, there are several different kinds of brassicas, and there's the turnips, the big bulbs and stuff. There's your kale, but what I want to hone in on are radishes. And so I have often, when I've planted brassicas, there hasn't been a lot of draw to them until like very late into the year. You're talking December, January. And something that I realized a couple years ago was that those mixes did not have any radish in them. So the radish is really what you're going to see that early season, those deer wanted to hit early in that mix. And so what I did on this particular mix is I added radish to my brassica. So I diluted the brassica by half and then went in with the radish, and I'm fine with that. Typically if you only had a plot here, you kind of wanted it more for late season, then you would maybe not tilt it as hard to the radish. But my goal is to kill my buck on this property in October. And so I'm trying to slant everything a little bit early. I've got, the beans over here. I've got clover. I've got, a kill plot back here with clover in it. And then I'm going to have a bunch of radish in here. And so my plan today is basically to plant, there's about 0.4 acres here. I'm going to put that into my brassica blend along with, the radishes in there. And then I've got this trail that I mowed through the beans, and that just kind of brings the deer right in front of my stand at about 25 yards. And that I'm going to be putting into just straight radish with just an annual clover. And so the goal is that this is a green highway going through these beans as these deer work out of the bedding. They come through here, and this is just a natural flow that they want to come by the stand. It's a pretty big plot, and so I'm trying to do everything I can to bring them into range out of that stand. So right off the bat, the main number one thing that you want to focus on is getting a good kill on your plots. This plot here was in clover, and this stuff is hard as nails to kill, a lot harder than what you'd think. And so I sprayed it multiple times, and I would say 90% of this is exposed dirt at this point. If I had a really good rain coming, I probably could broadcast my brassicas right on top of this and be fine, but we don't. And I've got some tools here that I'm going to try to get the seeds under the dirt just a little bit. So I was in here about a week ago and I broadcasted my fertilizer. I did a soil test on this, which is something I recommend, finding out how much fertilizer you need for your particular plot, and then applied that, and then got a little bit of rain to help work that into the ground. And so what I'm doing now is I'm going to, one, broadcast, and then two, I have a drag. So you don't need to get these seeds much under the ground, you just want good seed to soil contact. And so I am, in this case, just using a dog fence, just a door off of a dog fence basically, and I'm going to drag that behind the four-wheeler as a makeshift drag. You don't want to use like a big tiller, rototiller, or a big disc and really tear the crap out of this ground. It's just not any point. You're just going to do nothing but bring up weed seeds. And by doing this, I'm simply broadcasting and then dragging that fence over top, and it just disturbs the soil a little bit, gets better seed to soil contact. And then after that, we have just a lawn roller, and I'm going to roll that over the top of it. This is not perfect. There are potentially better ways to do it if you have a no-till drill, or I mean, that's obviously the ultimate answer, but it's a lot of money, and frankly, it's getting a tractor is kind of a pain in the butt. And so with what I have, this is, you know, my best scenario outside of, again, you could just throw this on top if you had a good rain coming and probably be all right. You're not going to get quite as good germination, but you know, you'd still be fine. But I'm going to try to work this dirt just a little bit to get better seed to soil contact, and then roll that roller right on top. Once that is done, I'm going to be doing the same thing over here on this trail. I'm going to be broadcasting my radishes through that. And then I've got some extra brassicas that I'm just going to broadcast into my beans. It's a little bit on the early side for that, but as those beans die off, I'm going to get a little bit of those to grow. And so you're going to have some bulbs scattered throughout the beans, as well as, you know, later I'll do an actual cover crop of rye. And so that is the game plan for today. And then this evening, which I'm really excited about, I'm going to be taking the drone up and we're going to be doing some, just watching the bean fields around here to see if we can find my main target deer 92 this year. He's a buck that I had a bunch of pictures of last year. He's a big 4-year-old, really cool deer, but just decided to not target him last year. And so I'm really hoping, as far as I know, he made it. So I'm going to be looking for that deer. We've got a couple other really good deer that, you know, they're 4. I'm not saying I wouldn't target them here, but you know, if I can find that buck and he's 5, that I know for sure, I would prefer to kill that deer. So we're gonna see if we can find him and see what's around. I'm excited. Let's hop to it. Well, we had some 4-wheeler problems. The battery took a crap on me. So I had to run to town, get a battery, got some dinner, and now we're back out on the farm here. Gonna finish the drag here, and then I'll run the roller over everything, and we should be done for the evening. Okay, got all the work done. Now the fun begins. We're going to take the drone up and see what we can find this fine evening. I'm excited. It feels like the conditions are perfect. I really feel like we're gonna see a lot of deer tonight. So my neighbor over here, he was with me the other night when we flew the drone. So we flew his property, has some bean fields and stuff, and he wasn't able to make it down here this evening, but he did want me to fly his property to see if you know, there's any deer that have moved in that he's not aware of. Just a little buck. Bunch of does. There's a deer walking through the switchgrass. Nice little buck. Well, that was a fun evening. Didn't see maybe quite as many deer as I thought. Saw a bunch of deer. Saw a few of the deer that I've seen in the past and some of the mature deer, but frankly, I was expecting more for this evening. It felt like a really good evening, but some of the deer were actually in the corn, which is a little bit weird for this time of year, but it was kind of cool to see those deer again. So the main two being that big 9-pointer, the double beam buck. There's a big 3-year-old 10-pointer, which he was all over me last year. That deer's gonna be mid-40s this year probably. And then there's a big weird deer. He's got one messed up side. I seen him quite a bit last year. He's a 3 or 4-year-old. And then there's this really big 8-pointer there right at last light that I seen. Not 100% sure what deer that is. It's making me second guess some stuff now. It could be Jed, which is a deer that I had last year and I picked up a shed off of. And I may have mistaken the double beam buck to be Jed, and so that's something I need to kind of look at some footage once and kind of compare. But nonetheless, it was a fun evening, got a lot done, and we're one step closer to season. So we'll see you guys in the next one.